Hi everyone, this is Mindy Eggen and welcome to my channel. In today's video, I have a very whimsical Christmas card to share with you, along with a really pretty color palette. Some of the products I'm using today is the Lovely Leaves wafer die, Christmas Words background stamp, and then I also have the Christmas Blessings stamp and coordinating die set. The first thing I'm going to do is create my subtle background for the window that I'm going to end up creating. So I placed the Christmas words in my Misti tool. I removed the foam insert since this is a red rubber stamp. And then I'm placing some Neenah Solar White 80-pound cardstock down onto the bottom of my Misti. I lined up the bottom of my cardstock with the grid lines that are on my kind of scratch paper I have in there. Then I'm going to ink up the Christmas words with Flannel ink. This is a really nice light gray ink from Simon Says Stamp, and it's going to create just a little bit of that subtle interest. So I stamped that down. Everything looks fairly straight. So now I'm going to work on the window for my card. I'm going to be using the Hero Arts Arches Infinity die, which is one of my favorite dies. I picked out one of the sizes and I'm lining that up onto my white cardstock that's 80 pound. I'm going to hold my die down with some Easy See tape. Now this is the bigger of the two windows. Once I have this die cut out, I'm going to place it over a light pink cardstock, and I'm making sure everything is flush together on the edges. And then I'm going to take a smaller window. So this is just a step down, and I'm going to line that up inside of the window, hold that down with tape, remove my template there, and then die cut that out. And while I'm working on my die cutting, I'm going to take these lovely leaves, which you can see is this huge die, well, not super huge, but it's an all together, it's all one piece. And I'm going to die cut it from a light green and a dark green cardstock. These are going to look great layered together. And by die cutting multiples, I'm going to be able to create dimension without having to worry about adding any foam tape or foam squares behind it. So I'm adding liquid glue to the back of the leaves. This is the darkest layer that I'm lining up, and I kind of use my tweezers and my fingers to pinch the leaves together and make sure that they line up. Then I'm going to do the same thing with the light colored leaves. So I added liquid glue all over behind that on the stems and on the leaves. And I am working on one of these, I think it's like a media grip mat from Tim Holtz. It's just catching all of that excess glue so I don't have it stuck to my glass work surface. Once those are adhered together, I can then go ahead and add liquid glue again behind that darkest layer. I'm starting with the darker stacked leaves, and I'm going to glue this down onto that stamped background I did. So by adding that dimension, we're giving this a little bit of lift and separation from the background so it doesn't kind of all look so flat. Now I'm going to bring in the lighter ones, and this one you may think at first it doesn't line up, but because the stems are so delicate, they do kind of shift a little bit. So all you need to do is just kind of move them with your fingers and be able to create that little bit of shadow behind there. I have my windows all cut out for the front of the card, but I want to pop my windows up. And instead of adding foam tape all over this, I'm just taking these foam strips from Gina K Designs, and I'm going to go around the outer edge of my card, but I'm not putting foam tape where the leaves are because that would create a little bit of a bump and it wouldn't look really good once I start adding my windows on top. So by going all the way around and skipping the area where the leaves are, that's going to give it a more flush look. I'm also going to take that white panel, which is going to layer on top of the pink, and I'm adding a thin foam tape behind that. I like to use my craft pick to help me get rid of that release paper. And then I can place my white window on top of my pink cardstock. And I'm being really careful because I want to make sure that my margins are even all the way around. So I have just that little bit of pink showing through. I'll remove the release paper on my foam strips, and then I can place my window panel right over the top. This would also be a really pretty shaker card too. For sentiment, I'm going to be using the Christmas Blessings stamp set. This is a large Christmas sentiment bundle, and it has coordinating dies for all of the sentiments. This is one of my favorite stamp sets. I've used it lots of times on my Christmas cards, and I'm just picking out one of the sentiments and stamping it down onto that window panel that was left over from my card that I die cut out. So I'm taking that coordinating die, lining that up and holding that down with my Easy C tape, and I die cut it 2 more times from plain white cardstock and layered it together. I added liquid glue behind it, and then I'm going to place it right over my leaves in the center of my window. Now, because it's going to be kind of textured back there and a little bumpy because of the leaves, I'm going to take just something heavy, an acrylic block, and I'm going to place it over the top and let that sit for a minute or so that it really adheres to my leaves in the background. I'm also going to bring in some of these gold glitter drops from Pink Fresh Studio and add those around my sentiment using liquid glue and my Place and Pierce tool. I hope you enjoyed today's card inspiration. I love this very whimsical look, and it doesn't really come across as a Christmas card up front, so you could switch out that background stamp and that sentiment for any occasion. I will have all of the supplies listed down below in the video description and over on my blog. Thank you so much for joining me today, and I'll see you again real soon.